How much would it take you?
Genuinely, having seen
5 mil on a contract now. I'd slide it across the table. Steph, 5 mil, jump in a ring with Tyson. It'd be on Netflix. 20 million people will watch it.
Can it be nowhere? Can it be not on anything?
Yeah, can it not be on there? Yeah, that'd be my stipulation.
How much for you, Mike? I reckon you'd do it.
5 mil, I'd have a go.
Would you? Fuck off, really?
No, I'd get killed.
We actually would get killed, that's the point.
The thing is, I don't think I would get killed, because what I would do...
I'm hard.
...is I'd keep a very high guard. I'd hope he hit me early on.
Yes.
Which he would.
In the testicles.
Yes.
And I would drop like a stone and just stay down.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. But having
taken... I hope I survived the one punch.
Have you ever taken punches off
win.
boxers?
I'd try and win.
Because you've trained with some boxers, haven't you, Al?
Yeah.
Have you ever taken a punch off a pro boxer? Just a proper go on,
No, not off a proper boxer. Because it's...
I've sparred, but I haven't. No,
But I've watched them up close, and it's when you watch them up close, it's not like on the telly.
Because I've done some stuff with Steve Robinson, and Steve was a featherweight.
Chance. Yeah, exactly.
And I
was watching his left hook the other day, and it was crazy.
I had one of those body bags on, and it was like one of those, you know when you do those sort of funny TV features? And you're like, this would be cool, this would be fine. And Steve just swung a left hook into it, and I genuinely nearly shat myself.
Yeah.
He's a featherweight, firing one at me, and I'm quite a big bloke.
By this point, in his late 40s.
Oh, in his late 40s, nowhere near peak fitness.
I
just
crucially, mate,
myself.
Not 16.5 stone either.
So no way would I get in a ring with Mike Tyson. Fuck that. Fuck it. I'd pay you $5 million to not do it.
Yeah.
That would actually be my answer.
Yeah.
Go on, Sam. Final clip for you.
Yeah, final clip then was it was an English football clip.
Fucking
but it was back. I know, sorry, lads. I know. These are just the 3 most vivid memories I've got from being a teenager. And my dad used to take me to a pub in Cardiff, which when England played, it was England fans only. So I went to watch England.
Where was that?
The Griffin in Lisbon.
Oh, yeah.
Was it?
Oh.
Yeah, only English used to go there and watch these English games. So I used to go there with my dad. It was when Michael Owen scored against Argentina in the World Cup. Was that? Hang on, am I getting confused now? Yeah, it was Argentina, was it?
No, it was the Germany one.
Germany 5-1, was it?
Yeah, that's
Germany 5-1. I'm getting confused.
Right.
It was the Germany 5-1 goal when he sort of flicked it from his heel and scored that amazing goal across the keeper into the top corner. And I remember, pints flying everywhere. One guy lost his tooth because somebody smoked his pint into his mouth, and I remember my dad was frothing at the mouth cheering, he's like real die. There's actually a funny Instagram clip I might show you guys it's on my Instagram. You have to go back about 2 or 3 years, and I think I posted it. I was like, this is what I grew up with. And England finally scored that winning penalty, Eric Dyer, going back a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad nearly fell over the banisters on the patios. He was chanting so much, and he was screaming like a guy with problems, at the TV. And I was just there, just casually, just recording it because I knew this was gold. But this happens every Tottenham game, every England game I watch with my dad. But yeah, that's what that pub was like. I remember that Michael Owen goal. That's when he really got on the radar. But that was I remember seeing that, and that was a pretty cool moment.
It's interesting this because Germany had such a mental stranglehold over England at the time.
Yeah,
they don't anymore. England beat them in the Euros, obviously, beat them in the Nations League recently. They don't, but at the time,
they are big time,
because they'd lost the semi in 1990, they'd lost the semi in 96 as well. I think they'd beaten Germany in a competitive game for quite a long time. Oh no, that's not true. They beat them a couple of years before, but they still had this aura.
This was a battering, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's that was a good England side. That was a really good England side that probably should have won.
They should have won something.
Euro 2004, I think, was probably the one. I probably would have to win a World Cup.
You look at that team on 11 on paper.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But it didn't work.
No, it didn't.
And that's the thing. And
because they tried to play the same midfielders, all of them were the same.
Yeah, and Jonny made such an interesting point about teams, about how when he first broke into the England side, there were an awful lot of players who would often straddle the amateur and professional era, who were just very, very chilled. People like Martin Johnson. And he said that he was this obsessive, very anxious, stressed trainer who trained harder than everyone else and was just this ball of anxiety before a game. So he needed the senior boys to be really, really relaxed. And he said it's not like we were drinking wine on the coach on the way to games, but it was still that sort of
that
feeling.
vibe.
And then he said, so then I had 3 or 4 years out with injury. And then when I came back and was England captain, I was still as anxiety-ridden as I had been as a young man. But suddenly I was a senior player and I didn't know how to be this relaxed senior player. And so all of the youngsters are looking up at me. They're like, fuck, it's not all right. Look at him. He's the captain. He shit himself. And the balance of the team was wrong. Even though he was a better player, when other players came in at 10 instead of him, the balance of the team was better. And they actually ended up playing better as a consequence. So... you look at that England side on paper, and you think, Christ, how do they not?
Well, there's a thing of always picking your best 11 or your best 15, but it's not always your best team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, yeah, so I saw a Lions best team the other day. I can't remember what account it was had picked. It might have been the Lions. It was voted for by people. But the centres, I think they wound up with O'Driscoll and
Gus Scott
and Jerry. Yeah, it was. Yeah. And you think, well, would that work? And it may well have done because they're both incredibly talented players. Yeah. But you just kind of look through all these things. You go, oh yeah, that might be your best 15 players who've ever done it. But does that function? You see the back row and you go, oh, does that work as a unit? Is that balanced? But you don't think that, do you? If you're voting for who's the best 7, who's the best 8, that's just a different vibe.
Football used to be, probably until the late 60s, it used to be about individual battles. So you would choose the best right winger and the best left winger and the best right back, and the right back's job was to tackle the left winger, and that was it. And then when football became about systems, it then wasn't the best individual person, the best individual traits and characteristics. It was about who fit the system better. And teams with a good system will usually beat a team that's got good individuals in it, I think. And that's why that England team doesn't really add. I think they were probably managed poorly. And they were a bit unlucky because Rooney got injured, and there were the big injuries at sort of, crucial times. But it never really clicked, that England side.
I think. Sorry, Sam.
Go on, Mike. After you.
I could quickly say that I remember reading about. I think it was Clive Woodward talking about radiators and drains in the changing room, so that you might have someone who's a very, very good player. But if his attitude makes everyone play a little bit worse, he's a drain on the team. He's not a radiator. So you're better off having someone who's 90% as good as that player, but doesn't take 5% off the rest of the team.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's what, when people are like, oh, you need that blend of experience and youth. But even if the experience isn't playing as well, that's that calmness that they bring to the dressing room, and they just exude confidence. You could imagine, say, like Alan Wynne-Jones now, if he's not playing his best rugby, but if a young 20-year-old is in that change room and Alan Wynne-Jones is just prowling around that dressing room, just uber confident, that's going to rub off a lot on that youngster. Do you know what I mean? He's going to have a lot of his self-confidence going to go through the roof, knowing he's got his back. And then when someone like Alan Wynne-Jones goes up to him and embraces him and backs him, imagine how powerful that is for those young players. So that's what. And then never mind the sort of tactical insight that he'd have as well on the field. So when people are like, oh, he's not playing as well, he shouldn't play, I'm like, yeah, but their influence can dramatically transcend just what they do on the pitch.
We mentioned on the pod the other day, and you alluded to this earlier when you said about with the referee, with the forearm and everything. I thought you always dealt with officials really, really well, and that's massive in the modern game. And like with Ken, when he came in as captain this season, we mentioned on here to the boys that you could see Alan Wynne, even though he's in the team now, not as a captain, would be talking to Ken. You could see it. And I'd love to be a little fly on the wall. He's obviously saying to Ken, go and ask him about this. Go and tell him about that.
Oh, that's
you know
it.
what I mean?
Yeah, when I that's what I hate. I don't like taking any credentials or credit about captaincy, because I'm like, yeah, but can you imagine being captain if you had Alan Wynne-Jones and Dan Biggar and John Davis and Jamie Robertson, Gethin Jenkins all giving you intel, it's fucking easy. Do you know what I mean? So I was only decent because I had such a good group around me, and they're as influential.
Yeah, but mate, that is.
But that's the mark of a leader. So the fact that you were able to do a Lion, I don't want to blow smoke up your ass, but when you were the Lions captain and you've got Brian and you've got O'Connell there already, who've done the job, and you're able to not be intimidated by that. I think when you were talking,
but also for them to respect you enough,
exactly,
to have that confidence in you.
Yeah, do you know, a really good quote actually. I thought it was one of the ones that really stuck with me. One of these guys, one of the athletes I've been interviewing, it was Seb Coe, and he was talking about leadership, and he's obviously done it from a athlete's perspective and political and Olympic Committee, and now he's president of World Athletics. But he just said something which really resonated. He just went, weak leaders love weak people around them. And that's what I loved it.
I love it.
That's a great.
Honestly,
it's Elis's motto.
It's a great line because we've all seen that person who just gets a load of yes men around him who just don't challenge. Then I think that actually a good leader actually sees all the good people around him and actually go, you go. Like you can do this. Yeah, like it's not just about you. It's about everyone else around you. So I think that's what. That's one sort of the good things rugby has taught me. It's like you don't want to naturally as a rugby player want to be the guy front and centre. You play rugby because you love being part of a team and you love being one of the boys. So I think having that group around you is such an important thing. I tried to live under a rock and get away from all that. I hated that stuff. But having people like O'Connell and Brian. I remember O'Connell after one session, one of the first sessions we did in the Lions, he got us all together and I was captain. He was like, boom, 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 this is the kind of pack we're going to be, this and this. And it was awesome how he spoke, And we walked off the pitch and I thought, I love that. And he cut to me, he was like, oh, Sam, I'm so sorry. And I was like, why? He went, I didn't mean to just sort of take over at the end and just start speaking. I just kind of like how me and Brian work at Ireland. Brian's a bit quieter and might only speak towards match day. But I sort of drive it a bit in the week. And I was like, oh, mate, that's exactly like, say, me and Alan Wynne. Yeah. Like, I'll only dip in a little bit. There's other guys who drive that in the week and who need to bring that emotion and enthusiasm. And I'm like, brilliant, keep doing that, So
you've got a real confidence in yourself to be able to deal with that as well, so I think.
Yeah.
There's plenty of captains that wouldn't be able to hack that at all.